Welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, the place where we walk you straight into the heart of Turkish show business and the moments everyone is whispering about. Before we dive into this breath-stealing account, make sure you hit subscribe, tap that like button, and if you want to support what we do here, join our community by clicking the join button for exclusive behind-the-scenes access you won't find anywhere else. In the last few days, one name has refused to leave the headlines. Cemre Arda. Her recent personal revelations already had the internet buzzing, but what truly lit the spark was an incident on the set of a brand new romantic series being filmed in Istanbul. The moment everyone is talking about was a kiss, scripted, timed, planned, but delivered with such raw electricity that viewers and crew swore it felt improvised. And the man on the other side of that undeniable moment? Her partner on and off the screen, Gökberk. The scene was staged in a carefully reconstructed cafe in the Galata district, all warm amber lighting and vintage details, a place designed to cradle the kind of emotions their characters were meant to explore. Cameras rolled. The director raised a hand. Cemre and Gökberk found their marks. What followed was an intimate exchange of looks, neither rushed nor languid, just that aching pause where breath seems louder than the city itself. Their approach was slow, deliberate, a dance that teetered between performance and confession, ending in a kiss so loaded that when the director finally called cut, the set stood silent, suspended as if afraid to break whatever had just been summoned into the room. It wasn't off script, a lighting technician confided afterward, eyes still wide with the memory. But it felt so genuine that we forgot there were rigs, wires, and lenses everywhere. For a second, we all acted like the cameras had disappeared. That sentiment echoed through the crew in whispers, with one assistant camera operator murmuring that even the dolly felt heavier after that take, as if the room had absorbed something personal. What made this moment even more striking was the work Cemre has poured into her craft. She has been preparing under the guidance of a renowned creative coach, an expert invited onto set for every segment of this production. The coach, who has collaborated with artists across Europe, crafted a process that feels almost ritualistic, controlled breathing to steady adrenaline, emotional improvisations that pry open hidden memories, and detailed character diaries mapping out a personal history for the role so complete it blurs the boundary between the imaginary and the intimate. According to sources close to the production, these diaries include handwritten notes, sketches, and even songs the character would have listened to at different points in life. For Cemre, the result has been immersion that isn't showy but centered, disciplined, and deep. All of this would have been compelling enough if the two leads were simply colleagues. But because Cemre Arda and Gökberk are also a real-life couple, the scene landed differently. Fans have followed their journey with affectionate curiosity, drawn to the way they balance public spotlight and private affection. On set, though, those who were present insist that the atmosphere remained strictly professional. Even as rumors exploded online, suggesting that the pair had allowed their off-screen love to flood onto the frame, what insiders saw was restraint. When the take ended, Cemre's coach applauded her dedication with quiet pride, stepped close, and in a voice meant only for her said, "Breathe. Stay with the character." It was a tiny gesture, but it spoke volumes, unfaltering support, clear boundaries, art first. And then came the leak. Footage captured from a control room monitor slipped out into the wild, a grainy recording that nevertheless held every bit of that electricity. Within hours, it was everywhere. The hashtags #Cemre Gökberk and #BasioSulset climbed trend lists, drawing tens of thousands of comments in a surge of fascination. One camp insisted that what we had witnessed wasn't just chemistry, it was their real love harnessed for art. Another group pushed back, arguing that the scene was simply a masterclass in acting, an example of two committed performers pouring technique and truth into a script without breaking the line between personal and professional. "It looked like life," one user wrote, "but don't underestimate their skill. That's what great acting does, it convinces us that fiction has a pulse." In the middle of the commotion, Cemre Arda held her silence. No interviews. No posts addressing the moment. People close to the actress repeated the same message: she is focusing on her work, maintaining a clear guardrail around her private world, even as the internet tries to peer over it. Her team, we're told, has no intention of fanning the fire. The plan is to let the performance speak for itself and to let the show's story, not the gossip, guide the conversation. Gökberk Yildirim kept things just as measured. He shared a single photo from the set on Instagram, a moody shot of the cafe interior, empty by the time it was snapped, the chairs slightly misaligned like they'd been left in a hurry. His caption was short and pointed, "Stories come to life." Nothing more. No mention of the kiss, no reply to the hundreds of comments asking for clarity. For those who know the couple, the restraint felt entirely in character. They have built their image not on overexposure, but on craft, mutual respect, and a balance between what belongs to the audience and what belongs only to them. Television critics and culture writers lined up to weigh in, and while their tones varied, their conclusions overlapped. They framed the kiss not as fodder for gossip but as a rare instance where acting meets something close to pure presence. It's the kind of moment the medium rarely captures, fleeting, focused, almost fragile in the way it asks the viewer to believe. Some pointed out that two professionals who share a life can actually raise the bar on set because they trust each other enough to play at daring volumes and then step back to professionalism as soon as the director calls cut. Others noted that the weight of expectation can be a trap, and that Cemre and Gökberk avoided it by honoring process above spectacle. Either way, the general agreement was loud. The scene already feels like one of the year's defining images. Back on social media, the debate deepened. Fans shared frame-by-frame breakdowns of micro-expressions, the angle of a glance, the fraction of a beat before the kiss, the way their hands hover and then commit. People who had never stepped foot on a set crafted theories about the methods involved, while those in the industry applauded the elegance of the staging. Thread after thread dissected what it means to be in love and still keep the work clean, or to be a disciplined performer and still let tenderness color a line delivery in a way that rings true. As one commenter wrote, maybe it's both. Maybe art is real, and love is technical, and that's why we can't look away. Meanwhile, inside the production, life moved forward. New scenes were scheduled. The director kept a calm, steady presence, determined to treat the viral explosion as a background hum rather than a compass. Cemre continued with her coach, adding new pages to her character diary, tracking each scene's emotional temperature, noting what triggers to avoid and what memories to touch lightly so she wouldn't burn too hot on camera. Gökberk did his part too, arriving early, staying late, marking beats in the margins of the script. He is known for precision, friends say, and that steadiness is part of why the couple works so well together. Where she sometimes ventures toward the edge of feeling, he roots the scene with focus and control, and in that balance, the characters come alive. As the clip kept ballooning across platforms, friends of the couple emphasized a simple fact. The line between their life and their roles is carefully guarded, by choice. They know how easy it is to let an audience's curiosity dictate how they move, what they share, when they speak. But they've cultivated a different rhythm, one that puts their relationship out of reach of the daily churn. That doesn't mean the work is unemotional. On the contrary, it means emotion is channeled with intention. And if that looks a little too convincing on screen, well, maybe that's the point. People like to say acting is pretending. Those who do it at the highest level will tell you it's discipline and truth. Interestingly, industry insiders say the viral success has already shifted expectations for the series. International platforms are watching, waiting to see whether the show's premiere numbers mirror the online frenzy. Trailers are being cut with new emphasis on that cafe, that glance, that moment just before contact. Yet those closest to the production are advocating for restraint, urging marketing teams not to oversell one spark at the expense of the full story. After all, what gives that kiss its power isn't the kiss itself, it's the build-up, the trust in the writing, the slow choreography of feeling that earned it. As for the rumors, were they riding a current of private emotion across the line into performance? Or did they simply use craft to mimic the exact shape of intimacy in a way that fooled even the crew? The internet may not accept uncertainty, but those who were there insist the answer doesn't change what matters. The camera captured something resonant. The audience felt it. The rest is noise. Cemre Arda has refrained from adding fuel to the conversation, pushing through her schedule and letting the attention roll past her without denting her day-to-day focus. Those who've worked with her describe her as discreet and fiercely loyal to the process. The coach remains a steady presence, rarely seen, rarely quoted, but always close enough to remind her to breathe when the heart races, to ground when a scene threatens to reach for too much. People who admire her know that this is part of why she's able to switch on such intensity and switch it off before it costs her anything she can't afford to lose. For his part, Gökberk Yildirim is described as the calm in the storm. After that caption, "Stories come to life," he added nothing more. He let the picture talk, as he often does. The choice felt deliberate, a signal that while curiosity can be a useful wind, it won't be the wind that steers him. He has long been the kind of actor who trusts that the work will outlast the chatter, and that belief has only hardened now. Those who know him say he smiles when people overanalyze, because it means the material has done its job. It has invited people to feel, to guess, to argue. In the end, critics and journalists keep circling back to the same conclusion. However you read it, the kiss in Galata was a moment where art and reality looked at each other and didn't blink. It's easy to dismiss a sensation as mere hype, but it's harder when craft is the engine. The scene walked that edge where truth appears disguised as performance, or performance masquerades as truth, and maybe the distinction doesn't matter to the audience who just wants to be moved. More than gossip, it's a case study in how two performers, and yes, two people who share a life, can honor the work while acknowledging that the heart has a language of its own. So what do you think? When Cemre and Gökberk met in that cafe, when the room held its breath and time slipped for a second, did you witness pure fiction at its finest, or did you feel a pulse that belonged to something more? Tell us in the comments. And while you're there, let us know which other stars you want us to cover next, whose stories you're craving, and which moments you can't stop replaying. We at Turkish Spotlight Secrets thank you for being here with us for another deep dive into the tender, complicated space where performance and feeling intertwine. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and if you want to go one step further to support our work, click the join button to get inside access and special extras. We'll be back soon with more revelations from the sets, the dressing rooms, and the places where Turkish entertainment writes its most unforgettable scenes.